Hello everyone, welcome to another great episode of 415 Stories. I'm your host Taha. We are having insightful chats with amazing founders and investors from Silicon Valley and the Bay Area. And as always, I have an amazing guest on the pod. He is a serial entrepreneur. He graduated from several top tier accelerators in Silicon Valley like Founder Institute, 500 Startups, and StartX to name a few. And his latest company is remoteteam.com, and it's an all-in-one remote operations software for startups and companies working remotely. Today, Sahin Boydas is with me on the pod today. Hi Sahin, welcome to pod.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I like your podcast actually. You have great guests. So I'm very happy to be one of them.
Sure, thanks for joining me today. So we have a lot to talk today. But first things first, I would like to learn how it all started. So you founded 3 companies and made an exit from all 3 of them. But what was the beginning? Like, what were you doing when you were in college or after you graduated? Can you tell me the whole story?
Actually, I have more startups, but I only tell people the Silicon Valley ones, not the before, right? So this is very funny. I was born in Boston, and my mother and my father studied in MIT, and my mother and father met in Boston, and we moved back to Turkey when I was very young, like 6 years old. So I was very lucky because I had a computer. Like, think about it, like in 87, like, which was 23 years ago, I had a computer, and my father sort of knows software engineering. I remember myself, even in the primary school or in the kindergarten, I can sort of change codes. Like, I cannot write a code, but I can change code. So I had a crazy early adapter advantage when it comes to the software. And I was a big gamer. So, and at that time, it's very rare that people might remember. We had things like BBS. So it's not the internet. You connect with your modem and you can download computer games. And I was reselling these computer games. I started like that and then built computers, built networks, like Dell model actually. We were doing a lot of OEM. This is when I was in high school. So I was really making good money in high school, like really good money. And then I remember I was like 16 or 17 years old. E-commerce were booming. And I always have the idea of having whatever works in other countries, apply it in Turkey in a Turkish way. So I was starting to build e-commerce website, and the first e-commerce website in 99, it was Cep Dükkan. And it was Cep Dükkan. And we built one of the first e-commerce websites in Turkey that sells second-hand, first-hand phones. And this is very funny. I got my first angel investment there. It was $50,000, but for 90% of the company. And the story is very funny. Like, I remember we had a place called Kadıköy in Turkey that they had a lot of phone stores. And we were going to each phone store and telling people that we're going to sell phones online. Can you provide us some phones? And nobody say yes. People say, what's internet? What is website, right? And then we randomly saw a guy, like, it was our last. I think I spent like 3-4 days knocking doors. And then the guy said, actually, I believe in internet. I believe that the web might be big. I believe that, like, some people from other states, other cities can order phones, right? So I want to invest in this business. I want to give you guys $50,000. But think about it, you are like 16, 17-year-old boy before university, like $50,000 is like life changing, right? It's like insane money. So there was no concept of angel investing at that time, right? At least in a third world country like Turkey, there's nothing. So we had the company, we made him like shareholder, and I did that business for 4 or 5 years. And then because of that, then we had a lot of problems. His company that providing phones sort of go to bankruptcy. And then we actually didn't go out and find another company, but we had a very good brand to be honest, at that time. So we decided that we will not continue without him. So I was sort of loyal to my shareholders. Like, I don't think, if one shareholder leaves, like, I will just say bye-bye to him and continue right now. But at that time I was like very young, like going to the university times. And at that time, I had a lot of software in this, like building an e-commerce website, having the logistic, and having invoicing, B2B side, like supply, wholesale, prices, and everything. So there was a huge software behind it, and I wrote all of it 100%. One person actually, I wrote it. I start to sell, after this company bankrupt, I start to sell that software to companies with a seat model. And the seat model was exactly. It's early accounting with a lot of calculations. So it was more like a QuickBooks plus e-commerce together. If I was doing this in US, it will be $1 billion business, but I was doing in Turkey. So I like some seats, I made good money, and the pricing I did was very interesting. I don't think Salesforce exists at that time or just exist. So I was doing one minimum wage. So the price was one minimum wage. It's like, if at that time, the minimum wage in Turkey was, I remember, it was like $200 something. It was $200 a month. And my thesis was, for every seat, you are saving a minimum wage value. So a minimum wage was so cheap. So I had thousands of companies using it. A lot of companies. But then I saw a huge opportunity in a very, very, very weird way. I was selling a lot of vitamin importers. OTC products was allowed in Turkey at that time. OTC products is over-the-counter products, which is vitamins, proteins, slimming products. It wasn't allowed before, right? And then at that time, this was 2005 or 2006, I'm trying to remember the exact dates. OTC products start to get allowed in Turkey. And then most of my customers were OTC products. So I start to see how much money that they are making. They were buying a vitamin for $3 and selling for $100. I was like, holy shit, this is like an amazing business. Like, I need to be in that business. And because I was American citizen, I can always travel. So we decided to build a company called Vitamin Trade LLT with one of my friends and import thousands of products to Turkey, build thousands of websites for anything you can imagine, like Slim Today, Get Slim Today, like lose cellulite, like skincare tablets, whatever Google keyword is. We had a domain name, we have thousands of websites, and we were doing a lot of good money. Bootstrap, 100% bootstrap, no VC, nothing. It was really, really good business. Then I exit that. During that time, I was coming to US like all the time, traveling, and I see a phone for kids, a mobile phone for kids. And that was, oh my God, I said, this is amazing. And mobile phone was huge. And I already did a mobile phone e-commerce website. So I know all the suppliers, all the partners in that thing. And I had two co-founders there. And then we sort of have a phone, build a phone, and sell that phone in Turkey. Come to America, get a big distributorship in Turkey, and find a big distributor in Turkey. And then at the end of it, they bought the company, all the shares, and then they continue to sell the phones. And we sold, this was, I think, 2008 or 2007. Yeah. It's like I Cep Dükkan for 4 years, then Vitamin for 2-3 years, and then this is 2 years. And then my last company in Turkey was an e-commerce. I was an e-commerce background guy, to be honest. Like, e-commerce is my bread and butter. And that company was, I had a very good friend, my mom's friend, and we saw a company called Net-a-Porter in England. They sell luxury brands, like very high luxury, like very expensive e-commerce products, like very expensive jeans. And It was a crazy idea. Like, will people buy expensive clothing online? Like at that time, it was no. It was very difficult business. So then we built this company called White Box, Beyaz Kutu, and then this was my fourth company in Turkey, Istanbul. Then I realized that like I had so many good ideas, and all of them become unicorn in Silicon Valley. And then I sell my shares, and then it exit to a company called Damsa in Turkey. And then I decided like I want to move back to Silicon Valley. I want to move back to US where I actually was born. And I really love California. My heart beats there. I actually planning to go there for many, many, many years, but I always say I have this business. Let me finish this. I will go later. Let me finish this. Let me exit this, but it never ended. So I was constantly delaying my coming to US for like 10 years. So, and then in 2012, I actually exit the Beyaz Kutu, travel the world for 1 year. And then 1 year, 1.5 year, I went to Ukraine, Europe, Thailand. I spent a lot of time traveling. And then I actually moved to Silicon Valley in 2012. So it was my 8th year and 9th year right now.
So, after all these years in Turkey, then you found yourself in Silicon Valley. And then what happened?
Yeah. So, in Turkey, when I sold my last company, I had some money. And I always like stay hungry, stay foolish. I had a lot of money actually
Mhm.
for that. And I said, okay, I want to spend all of it
So this
traveling.
was not actually like it came from the bottom situation. Like,
In Silicon Valley, when I moved to Silicon Valley, I had $5,000 in my bank account. Seriously, I
okay,
had five
it,
thousand
it,
dollars in my bank
it
account.
is
But
actually starting from the bottom. Yeah.
in Silicon Valley, yes. But I spent like I lived a jet setter, 5-star Ferrari lifestyle before I moved to Silicon Valley for a year.
Hmm.
I said, okay, I had a good exit. I had some money. Like I spent ridiculous amount of money. And it was like really like from like I remember like I had a friend in Belgium. I said, okay, let's go to Italy, right? Como, and then we just like
So you
rent the
spend
best
all the money from your
all the money.
exits
And
before
then,
you
no, no,
come to San Francisco.
I give money my mom, my father. Like I
Oh,
give
okay.
money to my family, a lot of money to my family. I do some. I like I give away a lot of money, like to good things. Like I still I have places in Turkey that like nobody knows it's mine, but I have it. Like like
Really?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay. You're
I
gonna
have
tell me
a
after the records. Okay.
so I have a fountain in Turkey. Like fountains are like I had
Wow.
a school. Yeah, these kind
It's a
of things
big
that
deal. Wow.
nobody knows it, even the people in the school. So I don't need that. So then I had a lot of too. I spent ridiculous amount of money. I stayed in 5 stars, and I see it's so useless. Um, I have very good friends in Switzerland. They were super rich, and even hanging with them was crazy. So I had to burn a lot of money, spend a lot of money. But it was good because, like, when you do it, when you are lucky enough to do it before your 35, 30s, then you can really dedicate on what you really want to do because you have no this like I really see the top. Like this is it. Like okay,
Hmm.
I don't care. I don't need to buy anything. I don't need a jet. So I just want to be a maker. I want to build great things for the world, change the world. So I had very that early thing in my life, and I think one of the big reason I have that. So I spend a lot of time in Ukraine. I really live like okay, what is the a guy like me can get most. And then I was in Thailand, and in Thailand I realized that with a very small amount of money you can live in the best in one of the best natural place in the world, and you don't need a lot of money. So I always say for body go to Ukraine, for life and life expectancy go to
Hmm.
Thailand, and if you want anything spiritual go to Peru and Costa Rica. I did all of it, right? So then you have less anxiety, less fear in life, less worry in life, right? So I have that huge advantage in life that I really, really, really lucky that I never care material things and really work on the things that I like to bring value to the people. And then when I moved to Silicon Valley, I only know one friend from my college, Selçuk. He was the only person I know.
The
And then I
founder
had
of Branch, right?
yes, 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 yes. And then
Oh,
we stayed with him for a time, like 2 years, and I only had $5,000 in my bank account. So we had magic there. So I, for a year, I went to meetups to eat food. Like I didn't spend any money on foods. So Silicon Valley meetups were
it's a
amazing.
common situation for entrepreneurs in there.
Exactly, exactly. And then with Selçuk, it was so difficult to rent a place. So Selçuk and I saved the money, collect the money, and then we rent a place and rent it out some of our rooms so we can decrease the
Hmm.
rent cost like crazy. We did that. We were living in Panhandle in Nopa in Bay Area in San Francisco for like 3 4 years, and then I always love movie trailers. Like movie trailers was
Hmm.
my passion, movie marketing was my passion, but in other countries there's no way you can do that, right? So I decided like I want to do something around movies, like movie marketing, movies. And I never liked IMDb, I never liked Fandango, I never liked Flickster. I said, and that time social networks was sort of hot. And like I said, why I cannot build a social network around upcoming movies, not the old movies, but upcoming movies, because where Hollywood spends their most money is on upcoming movies. Like if there's an Avenger coming, they are sending $200 million to market that movie. Or if there's a movie that they are making for $100 million, they are spending another $100 million to market that movie.
Hmm.
So I decided, okay, I want to do something around movies. And I was nobody in Silicon Valley. Still, I am nobody, but like I was really nobody. Then my friend told me I have to go to Founder Institute, and then I find that there was another Turkish person, Eren Bali. I reach out to him and he
Wow.
referenced me to Founder Institute. He said, you have to go to Founder Institute. And if you're going to do something related to movies, you need to find an American co founder. And actually, at that time, with very weird luck, I find my co founder. She's from Yale University and very, very good founder that we started this idea, make this idea prettier, but I never forgot what she told me. Shine, like you never been to LA. Like you have no connection to LA. Like you don't know anybody in LA. And you cannot even speak English. I think about this 10 years ago. So like there's no way you will be successful. I said, fine, but I will still want to do it. And then, oh boy, like we cooperated Movie Lala. We had amazing investors like CFO of Disney, Felixter investor, Mark Beneroff, the Salesforce CEO, one of the
Oh,
biggest names in Bay Area. We have like ex-president of HBO, American Online, amazing investors because everyone knows this is a huge problem and we might be the right solution for it. And then we had at the end of 4 years, I did that business for a very long time. We reached like millions of downloads, but I realized that Silicon Valley top tier VCs really don't like entertainment companies because they
why is
invest in
that?
so because it's not for them. They think it's um, for them it is very enterprise, very
Hmm.
siloed, very LA driven. Like you really need to be in the LA scene to be successful there, and they are not very like innovate. They are so innovative and smart in marketing, but that idea comes from the ad agencies. Like it's nearly impossible for a tech company go in there and getting ads dollar if you are not Facebook, Twitter. Okay, it's like
Hmm.
nearly impossible, and they are so demanding. So what we did, an unbelievable technology. We patent this technology actually. We did a patent pending. It was when you watch a movie trailer, at the end of the movie trailer, you see a black screen, right? This was like 8 years ago. Now it's YouTube boxes. Now it's okay. But
Hmm.
we build a call to action at the end of the black screen saying that follow Brad Pitt, get notified if there's a movie trailer, get notified when the movie is out, get notified when you can buy tickets. Nobody built this call to action technology. So we built this call to action technology in our app. on also movie studios websites. So when you go to movie video website like Terminator, like we had our video player there, and that was a huge success because we end up working with Terminator, Mission Impossible, La La Land, and a lot of movies like the Power Rangers.
Wow.
And it was a huge success, and we were charging them, like we were making money, but we couldn't make Silicon Valley investors after seed to believe that this is a Series A company.
Hmm.
And so we had a partnership with Tango chat app. We were running their thing, and there was someone in Tango become the CEO of GiffyCat, and he bought our Movie Lala. GiffyCat bought our company Movie Lala, and then we actually exit to GiffyCat, and then they use that GIF technology and movie marketing technology and get some movie deals out of it. Yeah, and then they sold it
Cool.
to another big company, but they didn't make it public yet. So
So
indirectly, I sold it to a big company.
this is an exit, and then
It's a good
you
exit.
founded another company called, I think, Leo AR, right?
No, no,
What was
this
the
is very
story of it?
interesting. Yeah, this is more interesting. So in Tango, we saw that people are really communicated with stickers and emojis. So
Hmm.
we actually founded a company called Moji Lala. The name is very similar, Lala. Movie Lala, Moji Lala. A lot of people think it's the same company, but they have no single relationship. We closed Movie Lala, that was done, and then we built Moji Lala, and it was a totally different company, nothing related to Hollywood. And we built a sticker marketplace, and that was like there was 2D designers with stickers, and we are distributing it in our apps on in other platforms. And we actually one time we reach like 300 million sticker impressions a day. Like we are sort of
Hmm.
become the, other than line, biggest sticker marketplace. And that go to a M&A situation. And then we said, okay, if this going to an M&A, and then it didn't, it fell out, it didn't finalize. And then at that time we had something that we patented. We apply for a patent. That's the right way to say it. It's when you open your camera, we are detecting where you are. Let's say if you are in a forest, we want to suggest you bird stickers. And then we
Hmm.
actually start to do, okay, other than 2D stickers, what we can do there, like 3D stickers, right? And we
Hmm.
were have a great relationship with Apple. We have one of the biggest sticker publisher in iMessage. And then we start to do 3D stickers. And then we are a little bit early, like 1 year early on that. And then Apple launched ARKit. And we
This
take
was
that.
around 2013, 14,
uh,
around that.
No. ARKit was 2017 or yeah, 2018.
Oh, okay. So this is
Yeah,
a little bit late than the other company then. Okay.
yes. Like we had Movie Lala finished in 2016, and then we built Moji Lala to until 2018, and this was 2018 time ARKit come,
Hmm.
and then we actually named the company as Surreal. Okay, that's very
Surreal.
funny.
All right.
Surreal. The first and TechCrunch. If you go to TechCrunch, it says Surreal launched, but then an LA company, LA studio, sent us a copyright infringement thing like this thick, like pages, like 500 pages. They say Surreal is our name, you cannot use it, and they weren't even using it. They were just like, classical LB in a entertainment company, and then Surreal was the name actually, and we were building a very simple augmented reality experience that like you have all thousands of objects, you can like drag and drop objects, and you can
Hmm.
really create a beautiful video with augmented reality objects on it, because the vision we have there is like now every photo is filtered, every photo is not real sort of, right? It's filtered. Every video in the future will be augmented, and when we have the glasses, when we enter a room, we want to show you different scenes in that room. So, or when you are walking, you want to say, I want to see the UFO world. I want to see green floors. I want to see green trees around me in San Francisco, right? Or when you are walking near a sea or a beach, we want to show you flying whales. So to
Hmm.
build that, we said it's so far ahead, we can't build it. So let's build a very basic version of it that like people just drop and drop objects and record things. Okay, and
Okay,
we
this
built
was for the end user, right? This
end
wasn't
user
for like any
Leo AR.
integration or something.
No,
Okay.
no. This company called Leo AR, and so Leo AR and Mojilala is the same company, but just two different brands. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
more like just two different brands. And I do that company until 2019 summer.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this was around you started your latest company.
Yes, this is so, but it's like Modular is one company, but we separated. We are separating in. They're gonna separate into two companies, two different
Mm-hmm.
brands. And there is LLCs and one Inc. Because like I think both will have an exit really really soon or in the next 2 3, because there's a lot of interest. It's like crazy amount of interest for both companies because stickers are so big, and
Mm-hmm.
we are the biggest sticker company. It's very funny. Kifi is our investor, was our investor in Mojilala, and Facebook bought Kifi, right? So
So
Facebook is in the
technically,
cap.
yeah,
Yeah, Facebook is not in our cap table, right? It's so it's
got it.
very
So,
funny.
so why did you leave the company then?
So that's very good because I was in Stanford Stardex and the team was executing great enough, and I had a huge. I had a place in Costa Rica that I regularly go like once a year, and I had ceremonies, ayahuasca ceremonies or shamanic ceremonies. But for the crowd is ayahuasca ceremonies, right? So everyone knows it. So I actually saw a vision of the remote world, like when the world is
Mm-hmm.
remote, and I had
Before
remote
it was very
companies all
cool. Yeah.
very cool. No, it was sort of getting cool. It was sort of getting cool, and I had remote companies all of my life. Like even my first company is 99. I never had an office. I seriously never had an office address. Uh, in my one big e-commerce company, we had an office, but I was never going to the office, and my co-founders always hated that. And one time in Vitamin, we had sort of an office, but the office was very cold. I rarely go to that office, so I always work remotely in my life. Like this is for,
Was
if you
that
think about,
because of the team was distributed around the world, or you just didn't like it? Like, what was the motivation of that? You didn't
I
like it.
this was, think about it, 99, so it was nearly 30 years ago, right? No, 20 years ago. And I had a weird idea of, when in our society we punish people, we send them to prison for a limited time, right? Prison is limited time. You go there for a day, you go there for a year, or you go there all of your life, right? And actually, if you go to prison, government pays you, by the way. There's a very weird thing. You get paid for being in prison. Um, I always think office is the prison of the mind. I always, because in this industrial revolution, they created a concept called 8-hour work day, which is 8-hour work, 8-hour sleep, and 8-hour families and friends, right? 8-hour social life. And this was a concept created by industrial revolution in England. Like if you Wikipedia,
Mm-hmm.
let's say Wikipedia tells us the truth, but if you search Wikipedia, you will see the history of 8-hour day, right? Which is, I don't believe in our history. I don't have the data. I didn't do the scientific research, but I don't think humans are meant to work linearly for 8 hours a day. Like, I don't think we meant to do that. But because of industrial evolution, we had the corporate America, corporate skyscrapers. We had this weird mindset that we have to go somewhere to work, right? I,
Mm-hmm.
I always had weird feelings about it. I never liked it. I always find it very bad for the creativity. So I never like it. Like I never believed that people are doing better work. And when you really find people, even I remember like when we only had weird chat tools, we didn't have Slack, right? Like we were chatting in Visual Studio, we were chatting with ICQ. I was running my business through ICQ actually. And I had engineers from Ukraine, engineers from Turkey, engineers from Bulgaria. Like I had a remote team like 20 years ago. So I actually never had an official office team in my life. All of my team were
Mm-hmm.
always remote. And so I had an insane experience how to make remote think work actually. But in Silicon Valley, I remember Movie Lala was remote, Mojilala is remote, Leo is remote. Like when I was talking investors about remote work and remote team, like even I have very smart investors, were great investors. They were constantly telling me that remote work will never work. Like they seriously
Hmm.
told me this. Like we don't believe in remote work. You have to have a local team. You're gonna get hired because of your local team. So you should have a
But
local
this is
team.
something like special to San Francisco, just because like people in there really believes that if you want to achieve something great, you have to gather all the people in your company in one place and work harder and hustle it, and you can do something better. But after the COVID, I think things changed, right?
So yes, of course, that's a good way. So I think that's coming from a very Steve Jobs analogy. Steve Jobs said he has a story that tells everyone like when you put the rocks, if the rocks in a bad shape, but when they hit each other, they just like get so shiny and like
Hmm.
perfect surface. So and he says when you put people and when the ideas bounce, you really get the best shiny idea. And it was sort of coming from that Silicon Valley concept that like when people coming together, talking together, walking together, spending time together, and you put these very smart people in the same room, they come up with this idea like let's sit down in a garage, work like crazy hours, and everyone is so unique, so smart, and the collective of these smart people are really building some super cool things. Um, but I think that vision of Silicon Valley for a international foreigner sort of doesn't exist because like you don't have a friend from Stanford that you're gonna go there and sit in a couch or sit in a that vision is I sort of believe for 90% for the local people who grow up in Silicon Valley, have friends in Silicon Valley. Like for a pairs people sort of out of Silicon Valley, didn't go to a school in Silicon Valley, that's really not a super case that exists.
Yeah, because everybody
Um,
knows everybody. Like they grew up in the same neighborhood in Palo Alto,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
one of the sisters in a venture capital firm, the other is a reporter at TechCrunch, and other is an entrepreneur. They
Exactly.
do business together. It's a collective thing in here.
It's proximity effect. It's there's nothing weird about it. It's so normal, right? And you go to same high school. All of these, like if you go to let's say the Anza High School or like some community high school, or you go
Hmm.
to Sacred Heart, all of your friends are half of them going to Stanford, half of them going San Jose State College, right? And it's really like that. So, but I built my network. I think that the way I look at it is I want to be in Silicon Valley. I will be here for 40 years. And like, I sort of believe in the Jeff Bezos model. Like, once you really think your company will be there for 40 years, it will give you a little bit relaxation. So I think that I will probably do multiple startups, multiple unicorns, I hope. I always believe in that. And I always look at in a I might not be successful in my first company or second company or third company, but I will definitely be successful on my fourth company or fifth company. I look at it as more like a learning. Let's hustle all of our life, and then we will have great successes because it's very Silicon Valley is always playbook driven. Like you have the
Yes.
methodologies, you have the playbooks. Take that playbooks, apply it to your companies, and if you can really apply it in a cool way, even it's okay way you apply it, then you customize it for yourself, and then you create your own playbook and then grow, right? And Silicon Valley, from VCs to the startups, is always big success, is always playbook driven. That's why you see the top tier VCs that did many, many IPOs, right? But if you go to second level, not a top tier VC, they have good investments but never at the IPO. Like there's a huge difference between there because it's really playbook, and playbook equals someone wrote that experience in a digestible format, right? So this really playbook driven. And I realized this Stanford StartX. I had a lot of accelerators. I went to 500 startups, Founder Institute, uh, Quake Accelerator, Beta Works, all cool ones, right?
Hmm.
And then Stanford StartX
So
was.
why didn't you do YC though?
I applied to IC many times, but
So they
my
rejected it.
ideas, I get always rejected. I think I applied since 2012. I got rejected every semester. Like, think about how many times I rejected. But I don't think Movilala was a YC idea. Like, they will not take Movilala as a YC idea, or Mojilala, the sticker marketplace, is not a YC. It doesn't mean it will not be a great company. Not every YC, even in the YC, most companies don't do great, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of survival of the fittest in YC, and
Hmm.
it's a unbelievable, amazing community. I love YC community. It's the best, one of the best community, but it always favors, I believe, very successful companies there. But Stanford StarDex, when you compare Stanford StarDex is more like a community, and they don't care that there is one winner. They just want to scale the multiple winners. So it's a very different community, and
Cool.
oh my god, I'm obsessed with Stanford StarDex, and they don't take any equity. That's the very interesting part. So
Huh.
they don't take any equity, yeah. And
Do
the
they
cool
fund the
thing is,
company or
sorry, no, they
do
don't
they
give
fund
funding.
your company? They don't.
They
Okay.
don't do. They don't give funding, but they give a great network, and I think that network can be more useful than. And I think this is what Stanford StarX says. Their companies averagely raise 2.4% more than any other top tier accelerator. So it means that they have. So the things that I learned there, Silicon Valley is very SaaS driven, software as a service. It's really not very consumer or e-commerce that I came from, right? I came from an e-commerce background and did consumer products in Silicon Valley. Then I realized after 8 years, after 7 years, this is really not the great thing. And I realized something, that the Silicon Valley timing is absolutely crucial on the things. Like, there is a concept called thesis driven investment. So when you hit the thesis of VCs that they believe this will be a big idea, like, the VCs comes to you. It's so weird. Like, you really don't need to go out, because I also, this very crazy number, with my co-founders, we talked with 500 investors. And she even wrote an article in Entrepreneur Magazine.
500, all in Silicon
500
Valley.
investors, all in Silicon, yeah, LA too, LA and New York too. But
Okay.
uh, it's an article, like, but at that time it was 400. So she said 400 investors, and we raised from like 50 to 60 investors. Not a bad 10%. It wasn't a bad
How much have you
uh,
raised?
in total in my life.
No, I mean like for just that company.
Movie Lala was 2.3, and Mojilala
Hmm.
is something like two, more than three, I think, something like that. Like, so
How
total
many you
five.
raised in total in your lifetime? And plus to that $50,000 who the guy gave you in your first meeting.
That's a good
This
question.
counts, right? I mean,
This counts. Yeah, I had to count it. I think I passing five, but I never did A. So it will be my,
oh,
so
this
my
was all seed.
all seed. So then it's a lot, right, as a seed. But this is also, now the rounds are getting crazier. So
Hmm.
I think in remote team, because the timing is great. So I was had a vision of remote team, and I was sitting in a Stanford StarX like a meetup, and nearly everyone was international. And everyone is asking, like, how will I hire someone in Germany? How will I pay a contractor? And I hate these big things. And I said, oh my God, like, remote work is here, and it's gonna be huge. And I really like, and I know this thing, and I want to help startups more, because I always a consumer guy in my life. I said, like, I just want to have like 1,000 great startups or 10,000 great startups in our platform, and really build something crucial. And I realized that I can really help a lot of startups going remote, because
Hmm.
remote is in my DNA. Like, I'm probably doing remote more than nearly anyone you can ever met. It's like 20 years of remote work, right? It's insane. Like, it's not even believable when I say this, right?
Hmm.
Um, So I said, okay, I can really build this. And then I had the good engineers. I reached out to one of my top engineers, and he's the CTO, Adam. And then we actually built the. We launched. We cooperate in October, so it's like closing to 1 year.
October 19, right?
No, 19, yeah.
Okay.
And then around February time, we did a sort of a soft launch in product hunt before COVID.
Hmm.
Uh, and then sort of COVID, right? February is like COVID
Yeah, I
was
mean, like
like,
half
was
of
it real
COVID
or?
was
Yeah,
COVID.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
People are still, I think, in February, not sure COVID was real or not.
Actually, like when we were talking when I was in SF, that there were events, and there was actually one event, especially in remote working or something, and you were, I think, friends of the sponsor or something. We,
Yes.
said we can meet there. There were still
Yeah.
events, like even if I remember that Andreessen Horowitz
March time, right?
put, what's that?
Was it in March time or something, or April,
Yeah,
right? Or
yeah.
before?
Yeah, it was. And I remember that the Andreessen Horowitz building, they put a label on the building door saying that no handshake, please. And people, like on Twitter, I'm seeing all the people saying things like, "Wow, what is this now? You're the biggest VC in Silicon Valley, and you're now doing things like that." And even though anybody was seeing that coming, so
Yeah. Nobody
this
see.
was
Yeah,
really strange.
the thing is, there was Security National Council. Like everyone should follow that think tank group. It's a great think tank group. They are geniuses. They were talking about pandemics, like there can be a pandemic, and but their reasoning was not a conspiracy theory, more like humanity is going really fast on genetic engineering, virology. So you can build a virology lab for $1 million right now. And then
Hmm.
so many people are going to do research in virology, and some idiots will do some stupid things and then blow up the whole. And they were really coming from this, and they were saying that there might be really a pandemic in 2025. And there was a lot of works in a lot of think tank. The reason is because people are very close to each other. We have thousands of travels, right? Every single day. I don't know how many flights we have, right? The world is super interconnected. And as a risk management, if you are an insurance company or a big company or United Nations, you have to constantly think about these things, right? What if there's a pandemic happens, right? So, but my vision was more like I believe five things happened that made us remote before COVID. I was betting on these things. The first one is in Silicon Valley, I remember 500 startups, Stanford StartX, the founders are becoming international. And a
Hmm.
lot of new unicorns are built by first generation immigrants or international people, like Brex credit card, right? It was two young guys from, I think, South America, right? There are so many cool
Yeah.
unicorns that is actually built by international people. Number one. Second thing that I believed was 5G is will be a life changing for us because it will be like old phones to mobile phones. When we have 5G, we have internet everywhere, like absolutely everywhere. Like we will have, like you can open your computer and you have connected connectivity at that time. If you go to Costa Rica or if you go to anywhere in US, right? So that 5G, and think about it, we have connectivity in our phones, we have connectivity in our iPads, but it's a huge computer. We don't have connectivity. It's like absurd, right? It's stupid,
Hmm.
stupid not to have 5G, 4G in the computer. It's like unbelievable crazy, right? And I never understand why they are that idiot. So I think with this Apple Silicon, they're gonna put A12 or A14 chip in it, they're gonna put a 5G or 4G this year or next year. So I definitely believe that we will have 5G connectivity, and then when you open your computer, you have instant internet with a high quality camera, with more global data plans that anywhere you can have instant high speed connectivity. I was really betting on that. And then there is something that nobody is talking about, and I think it's huge. We are living in an era that a lot of things around us is built by people who had no idea before they are building it, right? They had no idea. Like, you are starting a podcast, but you are not a radio host, right?
Hmm.
Airbnb
Yeah.
guys weren't hotel guys. Uber wasn't a taxi driver, right? So things are built
So
by
they didn't
people
have the prior
and
experience or
experience,
expertise to build
nothing.
a company. Yeah.
Yes. Build a company, yes, but not in that idea. And in my life, every single idea I have, I had no idea. Like, I was always like, I want to build this. Like, I never build an e-commerce website. I never build an accounting software. I never build a phone. I never build a luxury brand. I never, like, it's always like I never build a social network around movies. So it's always like I had no idea I want to build this. Right now I'm doing something more crazy. After 20 years of experience, I'm moving to B2B, which is totally
Hmm.
different than all of my 20 years experience. So Silicon Valley is really American dream on steroids. If you think about it, it's so weird. It's really an American dream on steroids, that in a magical short time, you can build a very influential company, and thousands of people get rich out of that thing that you built. It creates thousands of jobs, and it influences millions of people. Like, this doesn't exist any single location on the planet Earth, right? So
Hmm.
I believe that the reason for this is self-taught. So Silicon Valley realized that, I believe, self-taught engineering, self-taught, like, you can now go and learn to do something in a very, very fast way. Everyone can do
Yeah.
that,
You can
right?
learn pretty much anything.
So what happens is, you are an international founder, you come to this country, you raise, let's say, $1 million on a YC demo day, and then you want to have engineers, right? In the old days, the main engineers were in Silicon Valley. But because of open source and self-taught, people were learning how to be a great engineers in other places of the world. And there's amazing
Hmm.
engineers in other places, because they know of, like, they go to virtual boot camps, they follow the open source community. So I believe, because of the engineering, because of the open source, because of the self-taught, because of open source computer science, um, which is OSS, um, open source university, like, thousands of people around the world become a coder that can
Hmm.
build something remotely, right? And I think the fourth big thing was, I think it was the fifth, sorry, the fifth big thing, I believe, was we start to see a lot of remote companies like InVision, GitLab, right, and many more. So Zapier, because they
Hmm.
they decide, okay, we can build a huge, great engineering team outside of Silicon Valley, and they are as good as Silicon Valley people, right? And because of all of these combined, I think the remote trend was sort of becoming a trend, sort of, that in from the investors' eyes, is they start to say this can really work, because they start to see companies like Cloudflare, like, I don't know, but it was like 50% remote. Like, there's IPO companies are
Wow.
doing IPO. They are like insanely remote companies, right? So they start to believe, I think the investors believe, that it's really possible with great leadership, you can really build a remote company. And I
So they
actually see
actually
this.
started funding companies who are remote,
Yeah,
and
like
this norm
Zapier.
started to cracking. Yeah.
Yes, this norm, I think, started to crack during the Slack time, which was, I think, 2018. Like, this was like
Okay.
Zapier was one of the first one. Todoist was one of the first one, 100% remote. InVision was a 100% remote company. Zapier was a 100% remote company. Basecamp was one of the first ones in
Yeah.
the world,
Yeah. They were
and he wrote a
remote
book.
forever.
Yeah, they are remote forever, and they have a book, No Office, right? So that was already starting, And as I said before, Silicon Valley is very playbook driven. And at that time, Silicon Valley prices are going crazy expensive, right? If you have, someone told me it's maybe correct or not correct. Like if you want to have an office in San Francisco for 100 people, the cost of a year is $40 million dollars because of you pay San Francisco tax,
Yeah.
all the crazy stuff. But if you want to do it in other states, it's 20, even the 10,000, 10 million or $20 million, way, way, way lower, right? So, and think
Yeah.
about founders are becoming international, so they can hire three great junior engineers
From the
uh,
countries, right?
from their countries, right? So that I think perhaps start to happen like crazy in 2019, in 2018. I was really betting on that. And when the COVID hit, then the remote become a must, not good to have.
So how did you
Right.
first feel when you heard that all offices are, closing, the world is going remote? Did you like kind of said, yeah, this is a good thing for the company? Or first you said, oh, there's a global pandemic out there. Like, how was your first
So
reaction to that?
so when I think I have a video on, like, recorded video in
Wow.
2019 November time that I was saying the whole world will be remote.
Hmm.
And I was saying that this virus is not a virus that we should take um easy on it, like this will be a serious thing, right? Because world is so interconnected. It's not like, in the past in Hong Kong we had a coronavirus kind of pandemic, but it was very small. Like coronavirus is not a new virus. It's like there was multiple versions of coronavirus, but because the world is so interconnected right now, like any kind of small thing happening on a very small scale can be huge, right? And
Yeah.
when I saw this, it's so sad that unfortunately so many people are dying, so many people are losing jobs. But I wish governments did act way faster, way smarter, way knowledgeable, take it way more serious. And I wish like nobody died. But I sort of believed from day one this will be a big thing. Like because at
Hmm.
that time we had a very funny president called Trump. In America, like probably every international people here, like Trump is a joke, right? If you think about it, like they like I don't understand this. You have NSA in your hand, you have CIA in your hand, and like you have all the Pentagon people in the world that you cannot like guess this virus is real or not. It's crazy to me. Like, or you cannot simulate this and do 10x better than this actually. Um, so, yeah, once let's pause this. Okay, so I have
Okay.
the other deal. Okay, just let me finish this. When? 20 minutes. So okay, we can cut this right here. Okay,
Okay. One
so
second.
yeah, all right, cool. Sorry, Tal. So the other thing was sort of when you look at the president, I said there is no way this government is really a bunch of old people and idiots will make this thing, like fix this thing. Like it will be a mess. Like I was 100% sure it will be a mess, and I believe God bless we didn't have a serious virus. This virus is deadly. This virus is bad. But can you imagine there is a virus that kills you faster with a high incubation period, right? Then we are all like
Hmm.
gone, like, and you know, um, but even it's a horrible thing for a lot of people. This is very funny. I had COVID actually, and I was totally
Really?
asymptomatic. Yeah, I had COVID, and then I went to the test, and like at that in the early days of COVID, I went to a rapid test. The rapid test was negative, but then I go to lab test, and I was a positive, but I didn't have anything, like no symptoms, nothing. And
Hmm.
then I stayed in home for 21 day, and then I tested again. I was negative. So I actually like talking from experience as well. And I have like a wife, three kids, grandma, two au pairs in the house. So I have a huge family, and all of them has tested. but we didn't have any symptoms. But I think there are so many people with a lot of immune system problems, a lot of sick people, right, in the country, a lot of obese people, a lot of people. Like it's very, very dangerous for a lot of people that like wearing a mask. It's very simple. Just wear it and we are 90% safe, right? Wash your hands. Like keep the social distancing. Like they are very simple things that like we should not even argue about it, right? They should just say, guys,
Yeah,
like wearing mask, wear the mask. We believe it's working, but just wear it for other people. Doesn't matter what other people believe, right? It's simple. It's like a seatbelt, right? Can you argue that the seatbelt will not save anyone, right? Just wear it, right? Even you might not have an accident, right? But it's just wear it. It's a law also, but wear it. It's very simple, right? But I believe that they will not do that, and I believe that it will be a mess and it will turn into a political mess. So I was really believe, and I actually told this to an investor in around 2019 December, and they told me you are crazy, sort of. And he told me many many months later, so I was really didn't believe you, and I really believe at the end of this I think we are gonna have a great world. Like I am a super optimistic because I saw one possibility in ayahuasca in Costa Rica that when we really work remotely, think about that. We don't need to go to
hmm
cities. We can live in cheap homes, great homes. We can um, be more efficient. We don't need to do linear work anymore because 8 hour work is built for factory workers. This is very crazy. They built it in the industrial age to take people from the farming and to go into factories. It's not 8 hour work is not our designed for humans, but we forget it over time. So non-linear work, asynchronous work, working from anywhere in the world, super connected world, that will change the world. Like we will be
hmm
a way better world, more opportunities, because for the first time you see like 300-400 people coming together building an air ventilator in a very short time. There's people coming together building companies wherever they are. It will increase diversity, it will increase inclusion, it will decrease discrimination. We will have different kind of, it will even like, I'm telling this to people right now, but it will even change capitalism. Like we will totally live a different world in 10 years because I believe the whole corporate America system is changing, because you're going to see small remote companies destroying and taking market share from huge big corporations that designed to be in the old school business of let's have a building, let's bring people. Because why do you need someone in your office, right? Because I believe it's coming from trust. It's coming from weird
hmm
ego that the manager needs to see you in the office, right? And right now if you look at people, some people can say they are isolated, there's problems, yes, we need to solve how to work remotely more efficiently, more happily, but we're gonna solve all of it. Like we're definitely gonna solve all of it, and the whole world will be a more happier place because people will start to work and live wherever they wanna live and wherever they wanna work, right? And still making great money. And because of that, think about this. Tech is very remote. Fine, we are very remote.
hmm
We know we remote work, but you are talking about like we have companies in remote team. They are a web design agency in Tennessee or in Kansas or not very tech hub like New York, Bay Area, LA, right? Do you know what one guy told me? Like, I realized that if this remote thing is big, I can hire someone from Germany. I can hire someone from Mexico. I can hire someone from
That's the
Africa,
point,
right?
right?
That's the point. Then this guy will gonna go and hire someone from Africa. This guy gonna hire
hmm
someone from Mexico or India or Philippines, right? And then because there is self-taught, there is high connectivity, like there will be really no difference between hiring someone in US and hiring someone from Mexico or from India, for Pakistan, for Philippines, or New Zealand, or Europe, right? Or Ukraine. So then we really gonna see, and I think there is something happened in the COVID that it is totally fundamentally different, and I think a cracking point of corporate America and capitalism. In corporate American corporations, there's a concept called share value maximization. So I live with this. So I know this concept very well. So let's say you are building let's say a power plant, but you're gonna do like Roundup. Like it's a very bad product that also gives cancer to the people, but they still sell it because the fines that you're gonna pay and people getting cancer and how much you're gonna pay for the fines, the product is still profitable. So they still keep it that, right? So the human value and the environmental value is not really important. If you're gonna pay out yourself, if you pay the fines, it's all about the shareholder maximization, right? The whole Fortune 500, all the top companies are built on shareholder maximization. There is companies like benefit corporations, which is more beneficial, but they are still corporations. But for the first time with COVID, huge companies said that we don't care. Like Apple was one of them, Amazon was one of them, big tech companies one of them. Some companies with a lot of capital, good businesses were them. They say we don't care in this quarter, we're gonna make profit. We will not fire our people. We will keep our people
Mm-hmm.
because people are more important to us. Okay, so for the first time in the last 20 years, that shareholder value, which is based on the ideology of cooperation, like incorporation means a CEO needs always put shareholders as a first, right? That is changing. And think about this also. My first thing was when people are happier, they will not join random companies anymore. They don't need to join. They're already happy what they have, where they live. So the companies
Mm-hmm.
need to become more beneficial to the people, more beneficial to the environment. And in a very, very, very weird way, it will be more difficult to hire people in the future. So then the companies totally need to transform, and they're gonna say, actually, we are a great company. We are human is the center, not like Wall Street shareholder value is the center. And COVID will
Mm-hmm.
change this. The whole remote work in like 10, 20 years will change this actually. This is what I really believe.
So you have a big bet on the remote work, and I mean, like, I believe that. I mean, of course, for now we have to work remotely, but I think it's for a good reason that we are, working remotely. It's good for the people. It's good for the environment. It's good for, I don't know, like cities. People don't have to pay more, kind of values for their properties. It's all good. But I want to ask you how remote team really benefits in that context. Like, what do you do for the companies to better work remotely?
Yeah. So the vision of remote team is like the company says, I call it four pillars. So our job is to make companies more successful on remote. And what we say, operating remote company is very difficult. We want to make that very easy. So our big
Hmm.
vision is hiring someone international should be one click. Like it's that simple. Even they are in Germany, even they are in Turkey, even they are in America, and they have to work in the best efficient way that they want to work for. If they want to work like whatever the work styles, it can be independent contractor, it can be your local entity there, it can be you work through a outshore company or an engineering company like Topal or Andela,
Hmm.
or you want to work under a PEO. We want to support that in the payment side of the things, like HR, payroll side. I think which is a huge big problem. The second thing we are solving, okay, you hire these people, then what is the small operational things that you need, like time offs, holidays, religious holidays, um, all the documents, announcement, all the HR operation things that you need. We wanna give you these apps like time zone
Mm-hmm.
calculations, all this. We have like 20 plus apps in our platform, like reimbursement. You have someone um, in France that go to an event or a restaurant or eat something, that there's an expense tool we built it. And then the time tracking is really big in the world. US doesn't do a lot of time tracking for full-time employees, but as a contractor, time tracking is big, and different people work with different time tracking tools. We actually are maybe the only one out there with integrated with 10 different tracking tools. So
Mm-hmm.
because our goal is whatever the company is doing, and most companies in Silicon Valley have people in US, a lot of independent contractors. If they have resources, they can hire people fully locally. And if they have more resources, they have local entities in other countries, or they have an outsourced office there, right? Or they work with outsourced companies. We want to support all these payments, all these people in one platform. And then all the operational thing, we call it the HR apps. And now we are building something super cool on top of this called App Store for remote teams. So this is
Mm.
all the apps you need to run a remote company. And the biggest problem I have, I'm growing. So I have 40 people in a remote team. And then, like, anytime I add someone, I have to add them in Google, I have to add them in Notion, I have to add them in Google Drive, I have to add them in Calendarly, I have to add them in Figma, I have to, if they're engineering, GitLab, GitHub, all the like places,
Mm-hmm.
right? We start to do this with one click now. And then you start to see all
Wow.
the SaaS. Yeah, so cool. We are launching this very, very soon. It's like publicly, it's the first time I'm saying this, is App Store for remote teams. And then you get, now we have 50 apps in our platform. And the big vision there is this, also sort of related to my life story. I was in a lot of accelerators, right? When
Mm-hmm.
you are part of accelerators, you get a lot of perks. And these perks can be like AWS discount, Notion discount,
Mostly.
DocuSign
Uh-huh.
discount, crazy discounts. Some of them $1 million worth of discounts. But think about, you didn't go to these accelerators, right? But you are still a cool company, but you have no access to these perks, right? And I went to six accelerators, or like, yeah, six accelerators. I know every single perk out there. Like when the company tells me, okay, I know that you guys are giving 90% to YC companies, you guys give 90% to this, I want 90%, right? I use all these perks all of my life. I rarely pay something, right? So I want to take that perk concept and give it to the successful remote companies. So we are actually building one of the biggest perk marketplace as well. So when you are getting Notion, you can get their $2,000 credit if you are getting it through our platform. And with one click, you
Wow.
can add people.
That's
Yeah,
so cool.
that's so cool. And the last thing we are adding here is, I think, genius. You subscribe to these companies, and let's say you decided to cancel, right? Even you cancel, you are worried that your credit card is there, you want to delete it. So we are actually, with one click, you can replace it with our virtual cards. So if you want to cancel it with one click, you can cancel it as well. And then I also canceled a lot of service, and big ones as well. They never want to pay your annual contracts, so you have to be aggressive to them, like, guys, like, I have these, like, please pay my money back. I made a mistake, I signed up for a year, but I only use for 2 years, and they rarely refund you, right? But I have all the templates. So if someone signed up for a year and
Does this ring
they
a bell? There's a company called Do Not Pay. You know them?
yes, 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 do not pay for
Yeah.
apps. Yeah,
Yeah,
actually,
Josh was actually on the pod too, and he
no, no,
told all the
someone
cool
told
stuff
me.
like this.
Yeah, Josh, I had to reach out to him. Someone wanted to introduce me to him. I totally forgot. I'm gonna email that guy today and get the introduction to Josh. Yeah. So it's do not pay, but I believe SaaS companies should already do this, right? Make it easy to cancel, make it easy to add, remove people. That whole seed idea, like, I removed a seed from Calendar. I removed a person from Calendarly. It's a great service, but they're still charging me for 7 people. And they weren't nice about, okay, you have 7 people. Can you, like, you are not using this, man, but they love to charge you. I'm so against this. I'm going to finish this craziness. And I'm gonna do this very publicly, like, so we're gonna build an automated system. You can cancel it. If you remove someone, we will tell you. If you fire someone, we're gonna show you all the apps that other people are using, right? So, and we have other, like, this is the third pillar. The fourth pillar is about remote happiness. What is the other very interesting services that we can launch to make people more connected remotely? And we're going to have
Hmm.
that in the new year as well. So it's a big, huge platform. So I think it like more like a Salesforce. Mark Benioff was my first investor. So I'm thinking like a big sale platform like Salesforce or QuickBooks, that we're going to just constantly adding new service on top of it and be the biggest remote enabling platform out there.
Wow, I wish all the best for you and the company. So
Yeah.
actually, like before the interview, I prepared all those great questions, but I think we have a time shortage here. But let's do a second part in the future, and we can talk a lot of about your advice to the startups, your
Yes, do
funny
that.
stories.
Yeah.
I know a couple
Yeah.
of them, like you advertise in the highways in Silicon Valleys, some kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
I do that.
So we should talk about them. But for today, thanks for joining me, and it was a great
Yeah.
chat.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me. You have a great podcast, and I love the name, like 415. It's only the local, it's our phone
Yeah,
numbers,
right.
actually, right? So if someone do 415 podcast and call, it's probably you, right? So it's such a
Yeah,
good name. Thank you so much. You have great people. I'm so honored to be part of 415 podcast. Thank you so much for inviting me.
sure. And all right, we came to the end of this episode of 415 Stories. You can follow Shahin on Twitter and Instagram at Sahin. It is Sahin. Please let me know what you think about the podcast via Twitter at 415 Stories. You can also subscribe to the newsletter on 415.substack.com. And thanks for listening. See you on the next episode.